In this module, we will focus on looking at the crown, but it is also worth checking out the module on trunk and root collar. As these videos are designed to support the work of observatory volunteers who use the Tree Alert reporting system, we will concentrate on the signs and symptoms included in this system. However, it is worth noting that there are many other signs and symptoms that are indicative of a damaging organism. If you think that something is related to plant health or a particular pest or disease of concern, please take good quality, clear photographs and submit these via Tree Alert. If you're in Northern Ireland, you'll be using Tree Check. You can find out more information on Tree Alert and how to take photos and submit reports in the Observatory video series, How to Record the Geographic Location of a Tree. The crown refers to the mass of foliage including leaves, fruit, flowers and cones and branches that are growing from the trunk of a tree. Crowns come in all shapes and sizes, varying greatly depending on species. Broadleaf trees generally have a more rounded shape than conifers, which often remain relatively narrow. The shape of the tree will also vary depending on where they are planted, adapting to their environment to get the most out of the resources they require. For example, broadleaf trees grown in open pasture have a much more spreading habit than those grown in woodlands. The crown is often the first thing you notice about the tree, and thus is likely to be your first indicator that something is wrong. This can range from discoloration of the leaves or malformed fruits to thinning or defoliation, which may be partial or complete of the crown. In this video for ease, we will split the distinct sections, and then we'll look at the signs and symptoms related to each one. We will look at the shoots, leaves, and then the major scaffolding branches. Although not included in Tree Alert, you may also wish to look at the flowers, fruits and cones, all of which are part of the tree's reproductive system and help to spread their seed. These also differ greatly between species and can be used to identify the tree alongside the leaves. Any abnormalities here, in combination with other symptoms, may also be of interest and worth documenting. We will start by looking at the common signs and symptoms seen on smaller branches, twigs and shoots, including new growth. Note down and take photographs if you can see any of the following. Missing shoots can be an indication of the tree being in poor condition. However, grazing mammals will also eat the young soft shoots. It is worth noting where you observe this sign. If it is only on the lower branches, it is more likely to be caused by mammals. A wide range of insects may chew leaves, causing defoliation or simply notching the leaf margin. Wilting occurs when the shoots lose their rigidity and droop. This is a good indication the tree is under some sort of environmental stress, such as drought. However, it could also be caused by certain pests and diseases and should be noted down if you do not think environmental causes are at fault. Dead shoots are often a sign that a disease is present, particularly if the shoot is dying from the tip and moving back towards the tree. This is known as dieback and, if seen on ash, is one of the telltale signs of Cholera dieback of ash. Finally, we will look at the leaves. Note down and take photographs if you see any of the following. Defoliation. This is when the leaves or needles do not grow or drop at a greater rate than you would expect, giving a thinning crown. This is often your first clue that something is wrong with the tree. If defoliation is spread throughout the entire tree or restricted to the top of the tree, this could indicate there is a problem at the roots and the tree is not getting enough nutrients or water that it needs. Many diseases can cause thinning of the crown, including Phytophthora, Cholera dieback of ash, sweet chestnut blight, and Psirococcus blight of cedars. However, a number of pests can also cause the crown to thin considerably. Large populations of the larvae of the oak processionary moth can defoliate or strip bare large parts of oak trees. leaving them vulnerable to attack by other pests and diseases and less able to withstand adverse weather conditions. Pine processionary moths have a similar impact, eating the needles of their pine hosts, and large populations have been known to completely defoliate a tree. Chewed leaves or needles follow on from this, and at high levels could result in a thinning crown and be the result of the defoliation you have seen. Wilting, a slight loss of rigidity in the leaves which is often caused by a lack of access to water, however, can also be an indication of a pest or disease. It can also be caused by frost damage, especially if it is late in the year, as you can see in this picture. Callara dieback of ash can cause leaves to wilt and eventually die. Discoloured. This occurs when the leaves have an abnormal colour. For example, mountain ash ring spot virus produces patterns of lighter colour on the leaves, called mosaics. Horse chestnut leaf miners produce larvae which create brown tunnels through the leaves. Where large populations of the miner exist, or where the conditions are right to allow them to produce multiple generations, they can turn the entire foliage brown. This gives the effect that autumn has arrived early, despite the fact it may only be mid-summer. Many of the signs and symptoms that are commonly seen on scaffolding branches are also seen on the trunk and root collar, which will be covered in the following video. These signs and symptoms will be discussed in more detail in that video. However, we will touch on a few that are common and differ slightly than those on the main trunk. Note down and take photographs if you see any of the following. Branch dropping. This may be the result of a disease. For example, some Phytophthora species which cause root rot and can cause the tree branches to drop. On the other hand, environmental stresses such as drought can also cause a tree to exhibit symptoms. Although you may look up in the crown for dead wood, it is more likely you'll see the branches on the ground. Cankers. These are dead, sunken areas of tissue on stems, presenting as dark patches of bark that upon touch will feel slightly flattened or sunken. A good example would be Callara ash dieback. Stripped bark and tooth marks. On scaffolding branches, these are often a sign of squirrel damage, which are known to be a damaging pest of trees. Deer can also cause such damage, though obviously they will have to be near enough to the ground for them to reach. All other signs and symptoms commonly found on scaffolding branches will be included in the next video. In this module, we have looked at the symptoms and damage you might see in the crown of the plant during the survey. We have looked at different types of symptoms on leaves, shoots, and the main branches, referred to as the scaffolding branches. The type of symptoms that you see may be indicative of specific pests and diseases, but may also indicate a general decline in the condition of the tree caused by a variety of underlying factors. These may not always be due to pests and diseases, but common cultural and environmental factors that affect the water uptake, nutrient supply that can affect the crown density. Gathering information in a systematic way, including evidence about where elements of the crown that are looking healthy, as well as in poor condition exhibiting specific symptoms or signs typical of pests and diseases, will help diagnose the problem.